1, 2, 1, 2. Check, 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 check. Right. Let's do this. Unscripted, unplanned, and totally unprepared, as per usual. I'm going to just do this in a very unburnt peanut-like way. So today, embracing the chaos a little bit more than last time. I have not pre-planned any tabs. I haven't cherry-picked anything. I wouldn't call it cherry-picking. I'm going to do that now and just ad hoc it. Because as I was scrolling along, this caught my eye, and I thought, wait a minute. Before I look at this, by the Scary Mummy, what is Looksmaxxing? Looksmaxxing, the dangerous trend affecting teen boys explained. And I'm going to say this. I was going to go out instead of doing my my morning journaling / vlogging. Vlog. I don't like the word vlog. Vlog. And I was getting dressed and I was thinking the sun's out, you know, I was feeling myself a little bit more than usual. So I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna look nice. I was choosing my hats because I'm a big hat guy, and I was gonna go with my fancy hat. And I went out to buy some coffee, Loffbergs. Today's episode is sponsored by Loffbergs coffee. No, it's not. I'm just a big fan. Support Loffbergs coffee is what I meant. No, it is sponsored by Loffbergs. No, it isn't. I really like Loffbergs coffee though. Great value for money, by the way. Excellent value for money, Loffbergs is. Yeah, and so I was scrolling along and I was thinking, what is this? Why is none of it was really hypermuscular influencers drive a new mental health crisis in young men? Okay, click through some stuff like that. Remember, this is my my Internet Explorer Copilot empowered. What do they call it? Not news feed. Stories, right? So it's recommending, it's saving, it's trying to save me having to Google stuff or replace subscribing to things. It's quite clever. I like it. I'm starting to like it more and more. Aggregated content. And the first thing was this dunk on Duncan riles up New Englanders. Come and take it. Not sure why. Maybe I'm making associations. I was watching a documentary on Netflix yesterday about, it's called This Is a Robbery, about the Gardner Museum's big heist. Whatever you call it, they stole a whole bunch of really expensive paintings, and it was really easy the way they did it. I don't know how many billions worth of dollars worth. And I thought, does it somehow know? Does Copilot somehow know that what I'm watching on Netflix because I'm logged in with my email address, which is the same email address I'm logged into other, like, I don't know. I'm not that technical with all this stuff. Anyway, so I started scrolling along, and here we go. Looksmaxxing. What is Looksmaxxing? Where is it? Scary Mommy, also by Scary Mommy. That is 2 days ago published, so it's fresh. Oh, I didn't open a new tab. So, right. That means that when I open a new tab with the new stories, it will have factored in this data. Clicking. What is Looksmaxxing? The dangerous trend affecting teens boys. I don't think it's just affecting teen boys, because if it is what I think it is, this morning I was deciding between whether I want to Looksmax myself or express myself a little bit more, right? It came down to the shoes. I was like, do these shoes go with that hat? And there was a pair of shoes that would be Looksmaxxing, I think, with the hat, but would have been uncomfortable and a little too going to pick up my daughter after kindergarten. And yeah, I didn't want to be daddy try hard at pickup. I wanted to be there for her, not for the other parents, if you know what I mean. So what's this say? Puberty forces every kid to think about their hygiene and appearance. So do your 40s, by the way. Boys, it doesn't end there. It'll come back around. These things come in cycles. It's the rhythm of life. And to an extent, it's healthy. It's natural to want right. It's natural to want to look your best and feel your best. Yeah, looking your best and feeling your best are not always the same thing, though. Right? And hey, we all need to learn to clean and care for our bodies as you hit puberty and start smelling different, and you need different kinds of soaps for different kinds of things. But of course, we all know how it feels to be self-conscious. Teens, acne, and there's a trend circulating that parents of teen boys in particular should be wary of: Looksmaxxing. Why? I'm curious now. Why teen boys in particular? What is Looksmaxxing, and is it something that has been affecting girls? The term Looksmaxxing, here we go, and the trend of doing it has been circulating online for years now. It refers to the practice of maximizing one's appearance to be as scientifically, objectively attractive as possible. What happened to beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Looksmaxxing originated within incel forums. Right. Where users believe physical attractiveness equates to having relationships with women, making more money, and generally being successful in life. So incels believe physical attractiveness is equal to having relationships with women. So that's what matters. And also, being physically attractive results in more money and a generally more successful life. So it all comes down to looks, basically. Is that what incels are? I thought they were the opposite. I'm going to ask, what are incels? Are members of an online subculture, primarily heterosexual men, who describe themselves as involuntarily celibate. It means they can't get laid. Meaning they want romantic and sexual relationships, but believe they cannot obtain them. The term has evolved far from its original neutral meaning and is now strongly associated with misogyny, resentment, and extreme online communities. It's short for, incel is short for involuntary celibate. Originally formed in 1997 by a Canadian woman who created a support forum for people struggling with dating. Wow. It all began with a Canadian woman. I'm intrigued by Canadian women. Over the 2000s and 2010s, the meaning shifted dramatically as the men took over, I guess. Hostile sexism, anti-feminism, biological determinism, the belief that women only choose high-status men, often called chads. Resentment, nihilism, self-loathing, objectification, and dehumanization of women, a sense of entitlement to sex, these beliefs, extremism, and then going into extreme violence, diversity within community. Wow. Changing gender norms. Wow. When I was working in schools, I'm trying to think now, did I pick up on any of this? I was working exclusively in schools and only schools from 2017 to 2022 or 2023. Yes. 5 or 6 years, just my head buried in the industry. And all this was going on under my nose, I guess. Over the 2000s and 2010s, the meaning shifted dramatically, especially Reddit adopted a term infused with misogynistic and extreme ideology. Yeah, I even worked at a boys' school at one point. They had girls in the sixth form, senior and junior years. I did not pick up on this at all. On the contrary, especially at that boys' school, the boys who it came up through the boys' school, and then these girls suddenly were in their classrooms in their junior, senior years, where most of them were kind of, felt like the girls had more power, like they were more emotionally and mentally mature and prepared for it. And some of the boys were like, whoa, like rabbit in headlights. But then there were always a couple that were a little bit, but I just thought that's always to be, that's how it was when I was in high school too, I guess. Well, anyway, moving on, Looksmaxxing. Might come back to that. I wonder what it's like now in schools. But the more I reflect on it, towards the tail end, like 2023, post-COVID, there was over those years there was a kind of shift. I could feel sort of a shift in the attitudes between the boys and the girls. Yeah. I can vouch for this trend. Looksmaxxing, as uncomfortable as that might be, Looksmaxxing originated in incel forums. Okay, so these incels, and they said to themselves, right, this is what we gotta be. We gotta be Chads. We gotta do. Is that kind of ironic? Is that a paradox? Certain features are attributed points that add up to are attributed points. Features are attributed points. 1 point, 2 points. Add to your attractiveness score. Gosh. For example, a man might earn points for having a strong jawline and so-called hunter eyes. Eyes that tilt up slightly at the outer corners. But they lose points for low muscle mass. Okay. Is this where we're at, people, in 2026? Looksmaxxing found a new and more widespread audience on TikTok in 2020. It spawned Lookmaxxing influencers. Oh, now there's people who are monetizing, of course there are, on how you can look hotter and now flaunt the status their own hard-won attractiveness has afforded them. Right, so it would be like if, yeah, I get it. Yeah, it makes, you document, it's clever. Actually, you start as an incel, scrawny, no jawline, droopy eyes nerd, and you document the firming of your jawline, the hunter engagement of your eyes, and just the slabs of muscles you put on with who knows how and what, and then say, you too I can transform you just like this. Subscribe, pay, here, and whatnot. Yeah. That is capitalizing on a deep-rooted insecurity that boys have. It's kind of tragic. It's kind of sad. I mean, they say sex sells, and advertising agencies, marketing agencies have been using attractive women to draw in men and young men and teens into buying things and buying into things since forever. And now this trend was started with incels, right? Involuntary celibate young men have weaponized that against their own gender. Monetized it. They're capitalizing on that themselves. There's something kind of spooky. I don't know. There's something kind of uncomfortable about that. Something it feels wrong. And it kind of, are there parallels between that and what feminism did for women? What some feminists do for women? Like, well, let's read on. Why? Well, because there's soft-maxing. There's soft-maxing too, which involves things like moisturizing, getting professional haircuts, and working out. And then there's hard-maxing, which refers to more invasive, irreversible options to change your appearance, like injections, cosmetic surgeries, and recently, something called bone smashing. Bone smashing was invented by Looksmaxxers, and it's exactly what it sounds like, repeatedly tapping the cheekbones, chin, and jawbones with a hammer or a massage gun. The goal is to lightly damage the bones and prompt them to heal thicker, thereby creating more prominent bone structure. That's fucking insane. I remember reading, there were like in the old days, right? Like in prior, historically, there were times where men were considered more attractive for having lighter and more delicate features because it implied that you don't need to do hard labor yourself, like the muscles, and it implied that you're not violent or aggressive. You know, like this bone smashing that they're referring to. You know, look at fighters, for example, who have been doing it for like 15, 20 years. You could see some of them have chins like fucking dinner plates because they've done this is what their daily this is what their day is, just like, you know, taking hits to their jaws and their chins and their noses. So they have like harder looking, you know, their faces look hardened because they have been. And all that was less attractive. So I don't know. I find it kind of strange that we're living in the information age now, where arguably your ability to succeed and progress in life is more determined by your intelligence more than ever. Your intelligence, not necessarily, you know, academically, like you don't have to have gone to college and all that stuff. But I talked about that in the last episode, how those things don't matter so much and skills do, etc. But the reality is the higher tiers of income are reserved for less physical things. Okay, like you might have more security if you have like a physical skill, like, you know, bricklaying. There's always going to be houses to build, sure, but there's a cap, there's a glass ceiling to how much money a bricklayer can generate, and that's basically limited by the amount of time there is in the day, compared to somebody who is like an AI programmer today, where we still don't know how high that we don't know how high that ceiling will go yet, because it's still going. Okay, deep breath. You don't have to understand the Looksmaxxing terminology and point system to recognize if your kid has an unhealthy relationship with their appearance. Unhealthy relationship with their appearance is, well, a good way to put it. You don't have to wait to find a hammer on the bathroom counter to have a conversation about it. If your son is on social media, he is statistically more likely to be dissatisfied with his physical appearance, restricting his eating, or engaging in risky behaviors to change how he looks. Yeah. This is great. This is a great opportunity to build in some media literacy lessons too. Talk about what Looksmaxxing influencers might not show, like the potential bruising and nerve damage from bone smashing. Yeah, that's what I was thinking about as well. Right? Like Muay Thai fighters, they train their bones on their shins. They do the same thing, right? So they will kick bamboo sticks or tie ropes around, hard, heavy bags to create little micro fractures in your shins that heal back. So it's called Wolf's Law. The bone heals back 3 times stronger than it was when it was damaged. But in the process, their shins become dead. The nerves, in the pain sense. So for a Muay Thai fighter, there's huge benefits to that. You get shin bones that are like hard as cinder blocks, and you can throw your kicks as hard as you want because it'll always hurt the other person more than it'll hurt you. It won't hurt you at all, which is, but if you're doing that to your face in the mirror with a hammer so you can try and get a thicker jawline, and you're just a normal kid, Why would you do that? Just to look a particular way, to look a way that, well, also is not representative of who you are, for one. And I mean, I guess it's like the whole question. The question comes down for plastic surgery too. People who have cosmetic surgery to alter their appearance, right? This is just like the do-it-yourself version of that. It's DIY plastic surgery. The teens are doing in their bathrooms, behind their parents' back. That's terrifying. Where can you find credentialed doctors about Looksmaxxing, and what do they say about? Okay, so this is a thing. This is a thing. What else? Something to be aware of, but nothing. No mention about girls or women. If girls are doing anything equivalent, run it by our teen girls Looksmaxxing. Hope it doesn't take that the wrong way. Teen girls can engage in behaviors similar to Looksmaxxing, but the dynamic is different from what you see with teen boys' Looksmaxxing communities. The article you have opened focuses on boys, but the broader cultural pressures on girls are well documented and long-standing. Thank you. That's what I was saying. Isn't this kind of pressure been on girls since forever? Looksmaxxing generally means body dysmorphia, insecurity about dating, influences from incel and manosphere communities. The manosphere. I'm a celebrity in the manosphere. Algorithm-driven content pushing fix-yourself narratives. That's what I was afraid it might start happening to mine. So I'm trying to switch it up a little bit more. I'm a xenial. Algorithms. I'm your daddy. You ain't gonna catch me. Doom scrolling anytime soon. Are teen girls doing something similar? Beauty filters and editing apps. Yeah, beauty filters are basically Looksmaxxing, right? Did I mention about that friend of mine who's been doing online dating or just window shopping, really? Until recently, where he then started going on dates and realized that a lot of profiles on online dating sites are now using body filters and beauty filters to look different, sometimes completely different to what they look like in real life. I'm not talking subtle filters. I'm talking like changing bone structure with these apps. And the explanation that the young ladies give is they're trying to get more matches so that they have more options to create more choices for themselves. So I call that catfishing. That's catfishing. You are catfishing. It's nothing, it's no different from using a picture of somebody else because it's not you in the photo. You are filtering what you look like. You are no different from somebody who's using someone else's photographs. No different at all. That's what I told him. And he was like, okay, fair enough. I mean, doesn't that make sense? Fitness and dieting trends. Because guys, are just so happy sometimes to get a date that they get there, and they'll find ways to justify it in their heads. And they're like, oh, she just wants me to like her, or oh, this or that. There's no justification for it, man. It's the same as using photos of somebody else. Lying. Do you really want to start a relationship with somebody who is that dishonest from the first date? Next, what do we see? What do we got? Okay. Good morning, George. Oh, good morning. Hello, robot. Lonely teens cease right away. The Independent. Lonely teens more likely to lash out at others. Okay. Sony U-turn on its. I tried Midnight. I did the first chapter of the Midnight campaign last night. So a World of Warcraft stream is in the books for later today, probably maybe tonight. Tales from Azeroth. Charlemagne. Yeah, I'm gonna go into that separate thing because it's quite excited about it, to be honest. Pregnant women shed gray matter to help with motherhood. It's early in the morning for that. All right, what else? Deadpool. Things parents should never say to their kids. I'm going to kindergarten later. I might have a look at that one. Was Jim Carrey's awards appearance fake? Oh, yeah, because he looked kind of like, they say, he looked kind of pudgy or bloated. I read a headline the other day. Younger generations rewrite the rules of adulthood. From milestones to mindsets, travel as a lifestyle choice, millennials trade city life for the suburbs. Nothing new there. Why this shift matters for industries. Meh. How to train your brain to seek discomfort. By Stoic Evolution. World of Warcraft Midnight launch trailer. Study reveals what getting high does to your memory. Do we really need a study for that one? Scientists uncover hard limits to muscle growth. Scientists uncover the hard limits to muscle growth. Groundbreaking research maps muscle growth limits. Two mechanisms restrict muscle adaptation. Applying limits to leg day training. Practical takeaways for different athletes. I want to start going to the gym and doing more exercise. Just for like nothing too extreme, just maintenance, just keeping up with my health. But I'm still far away from that routine. Yeah, peek at it later. Just get some options open here. SNL couldn't, not Looksmaxxing. No body dysmorphia here. SNL could have picked a worse time to enroll itself in controversy. Dark Haven. The path to becoming the strongest version of yourself. Jordan Peterson motivation. I've been paying attention to Jordan Peterson for a very long time now, and I've watched this man's journey from the outside, of course. From like university lecturer with grainy camcorder footage from like 5 years ago, 10 years ago. It kind of a surprise. Like now he's like, one of those guys on the internet. He's an internet personality. If you went back in time and told me that, I never would have believed it. That a Canadian social scientist who's teaching in Toronto or whatever is now. Why and how to integrate your shadow. Jordan Peterson motivation. 16 hours ago. This is becoming more and more of a thing. This whole shadow integration thing. When I first created the Chili Maple persona, it was 2005, I think, maybe 2007. As my gamer tag / online persona, and then with social media started to grow and things like that, it started to morph into other things. Long story. If you're curious, go to my website and see more about it. And that always was sort of like, everybody has a public life, a private life, and a secret life kind of thing, which echoes a little bit the light and the dark, shadow and the light, ego, alter ego. Carl Jung, the psychologist. I first read Carl Jung stuff when I was in high school doing psychology in the IB, and it was just always just stuck in my head. We did Freud, we did Jung, we did Skinner, we did all the cognitive stuff. It was a really good course, actually. I highly recommend it. And then when my brother's mental illness or struggles over the last 10, 15 years with psychotic episodes, schizophrenia, and that really put all that stuff, ego, alter ego, at the forefront. It was just in my face. Like had to acknowledge it and had to recognize the two sides, the duality of him, the duality in myself as a result, being my brother, only 18 months apart. And also then looking at it in the world itself. So to see this coming now into the personal development, conversation, I find it quite intriguing. And I wonder, but also cynical. On the one hand, I'm intrigued and excited, right? And then on the other hand, yin yang, I'm very skeptical and just like, is this something? I'm doubtful almost that this is actually going to be something that society will integrate into itself, that people will actually start acknowledging that their egos have run out of control and that you need to acknowledge your shadow self, your alter ego, the things you don't want to think about yourself, and you don't want to think about your partner, your family, your job, your life, the things that you force into your little cave, in the back of your subconscious. And you've developed this ego that is very efficient and effective at partitioning things that it wants to put into your consciousness and stuffing away into your unconsciousness, because that is the way to maintain a comfortable level of comfort. And we're all addicted to comfort, right? So when I was doing the Wim Hof method stuff, it was finding comfort in discomfort. That's when I really started going back into it with my meditation as well. And yeah, the Wim Hof method, the Wim Hof community is great. I love them all. But when I was doing like my training to become a qualified instructor, I found it strange that, not strange, it was a little bit concerning to me. Everybody, it was roomfuls of people, maybe 50 other people. I'd never been in a room meditating with that many people before. And most people would come out of their caves, their meditation, out of their, you have to go inwards and be like happy. And, the effect of the meditation on them was it was like very positive. Everyone was very happy, very positive. And I wouldn't. I'd come out of a lot of times I'd come out of, not all the time, but a lot of times I would come out of my meditation and I'd come out of a dark place, and there'd be like all this dark and angry or sad or not positive emotions that were not in my consciousness, and now they were, and then I'd have to spend the rest of the day processing those and dealing with those. But that's what I liked about it. It was for me, it was like shadow work. Some days I'd go in there and my intention was, because we set our intentions before we start meditating, my intention was to go deeper. I'm feeling like shit today. My intention is to go deep into that shitness right now and drag it out to the front so I can integrate it somehow into the rest of the day. So if I dragged up some anger from, I don't know, from being bullied in high school, or sadness from being rejected from something or whatever, then later in the day, we'd go and we'd do our ice baths or whatever, and I would deal with it there. I would integrate it. So instead of like being all calm and happy and I'm going to go into the calm, I would find my calmness to go into the cold, into the ice, by using the response. How do I put this? How do I put this delicately? Let's take self-destruction as a negative feeling, right? If you have feelings that are somewhere lurking in your subconscious, something, maybe you hate yourself about something, or you hate something you did, right? How can you integrate that into an ice bath? What's the biggest fear people have about ice? That's dangerous, right? Hypothermia, death. You're going into this frozen lake. If you've already faced that fear in the morning in yourself, aspects of yourself that don't want the best things for you, then you're looking at the ice and it looks like it's not so scary. How do I, you know what I mean? Like, it's like training with somebody who's 6'5" 225-pound killer in the gym because you're going to be competing with lightweights later that week. Something like that. Other people were just doing it differently, and they were staying very much in their positive light and, like just staying in their happy place. And I'd see them walking into the cold and sitting into the ice bath, and they were trying to hold on to their happy place and stay there, stay happy and calm. There's a lot of merit to it, because that is a different kind of, that's a kind of conditioning. And the Wim Hof method is a lot about, that is conditioning yourself to be able to stay in your happy place when you're in an uncomfortable situation. I was kind of using it, I was having days like that, but other days I was using it as a therapeutic tool, like as a cleansing thing. And I was insecure about that some days, thinking that, maybe even getting a case of imposter syndrome, because I was looking around at everybody else and thinking, should I be doing this? Am I doing this wrong? What if they find out, So I talked to my level 3 instructors, the masters that were there, and they reassured me that that's not how the method, the Wim Hof method, Wim Hof is not the guru, and you don't have to do things his way. He just hands you the tools and you do with them what you want. And that's what I do. I've integrated it into tantric-like things on the other extreme, from like shadow work with Carl Jung on the one side to trying to find pure delight in the light as well. Yeah, and I guess that's why they made me an instructor, because I failed the test 3 times, the written test. So it definitely wasn't because I memorized all the research or that I tolerated the cold better than everybody else. Nope. It was definitely none of that stuff. It was something else that they saw, and I love them. Respect. Right, moving on. Next article. Teen cannabis. Enough about cannabis. Sick of babysitting Claude? Who's Claude? Uncovering Joe Rogan's unknown truths. NVIDIA. I've never hit this refresh button. I'm going to do that now. See where it goes. Regulator contacts Meta over workers watching intimate AI glasses videos. What is an intimate AI glasses video? The UK data watchdog is writing to Meta following a concerning report claiming outsourced workers were able to view sensitive content filmed by companies' AI smart glasses. Meta said, what, are people like wearing them while they... captured by AI smart glasses for the purpose of improving the quote-unquote experience. Videos including of glasses wearers using the toilet or having sex are sometimes reviewed by Kenyan-based Meta subcontractor. According to an investigation. Wow, people are wearing... We see everything from, quote, we see everything from living rooms to naked bodies, one worker reportedly said. Well, of course they do. You got to ask yourself, people who are wearing Meta glasses while they're having sex, maybe they want the workers at Meta to see them. Ray-Ban Meta glasses help you use AI hands-free to answer questions about the world around you. Oh my God, that's too good. So people are wearing these AI-enabled glasses while they're having sex so they can answer questions about the world around you. Hey, glasses, should I go faster or slower? And the girls or the guys sitting there going, what? Just ask me. What do you mean? Read the subtle cues here. This data is first filled. That's too good. That's too good. The claims in this article are concerning. I don't see the concern, frankly. Like you buy a product, you know what it's capable of. If you read the license agreement or not, that's on you. I mean, obviously they're farming data. Obviously they're farming the stuff that these glasses are picking up. What is this? The BBC has approached Sama, for comment on the report. And the workers said they are reviewing transcripts of interactions with the AI to check it had answered the questions adequately. Go faster. Let's see. Did it work? Misuse concerns. In September, Meta unveiled a range of AI-powered devices. Oh, God. In partnership with glasses brands Ray-Ban and Oakley. Bring it on. I ain't afraid of no glasses. I ain't afraid of no AI-powered devices. You can't beat them, join them. That's what I say. BBC News has approached the glasses maker's parent company for a comment. Rapid advancements in AI, gotta be careful my tongue doesn't slip here. Rapid advancements in AI has resulted in a proliferation of wearable gadgets that use AI to interpret images and sounds captured by the device. Features can include translating text or responding to... Okay. Wow. Good stuff. Let's see what Jordan has to say.
Part of spiritual development is to recognize the satanic tendencies that characterize you and to fully wrestle with them and to integrate them. That's the...
Right. For the record, if anybody doesn't know, Jordan Peterson is a devout Christian. So this video is why and how to integrate your shadow, and he's approaching it from the spiritual angle, which is very interesting, and I appreciate him putting his touch. You know, I gave my touch on it, neurology and psychology and whatnot, you know, because meditation and cold exposure, all these things, there are ways for us to hijack our neurology to alter our psychology. And Jordan is talking about psychology, or, well, let's see what he says.
It's not so much
spirituality. There's the soul, the mind, and the brain. These are three things, you know. In ancient Greece, they had one word for all three of these things. They called it psyche, which is where the word psychologia comes from, psychology. We separated those three things, modern civilization. The ancient Greeks, they just had one word for it, and that was psyche. Mind, body, soul. It was one thing. Different. Can you imagine what it would have been like being part of society then? It's impossible with our modern mindsets to even comprehend what people in those days, in those communities, what they were like. I'd love to meet an ancient Greek. You know, if there was a time machine, that'd be such a great time to visit and see what it was like in a world where they did not separate these three things. It's just, it was all one.
It's to transmute them, you know, and you can see the difference between people who've done that and people who haven't, at least to some degree, because people who haven't integrated the shadow at all are naive. And you can tell that when you look at them, and you can tell that when you talk to them. And because they're naive, they're often resentful as well because they get taken advantage of. And someone who's integrated that more, they're dangerous in the martial arts sort of way, which is they're dangerous, but they don't have to use it because their presence radiates.
Right, like, so that's, yeah, I love it. He's like saying you need to recognize the evil that is in the good. You know, you got to recognize that you are not an angel, you are not a saint, you are not. That's very naive, and I don't think he's going to say it, but probably as a devout Christian himself, he's probably, you know, like, I've heard him say idle hands of the devil's playground and things like that. So if you don't recognize your susceptibility to doing evil, your capacity to do evil, that is when you are most vulnerable to doing it. Whereas integrating it in his version of it here with good and evil and the soul and whatnot, he's saying recognize it, integrate it into your daily life so that control it so it doesn't control you. And the resentment thing, the resentment comment he made, I find that really interesting. That people that don't do this are naive, and because they're naive, they end up getting taken advantage of. And because they end up getting taken advantage of, they become resentful human beings. They resent people because of things that have happened to them. It's a flawless chain of reasoning. And what, I mean, coming from Dr. Peterson, what else would you expect?
What would you say? It doesn't radiate threat exactly. Well, certainly strength, but it's the potential for havoc. That's the right way of thinking about it.
Recognize your potential for havoc. And he went on the Joe Rogan podcast, so he's this guy's like a sponge. He goes around, he absorbs everything. He's such an open mind. So now he's understood a little bit more about the martial arts community, and he's saying it's like martial artists who you see. The people who know how to fight are the least likely people to get into fights in bars because they recognize their own ability for havoc. Right? And the most dangerous person in the bar is the guy who's never been in a fight or, doesn't know how to. He's the guy who's the most dangerous. He's gonna pick the wrong danger to himself and other people, right?
There's an implicit potential for havoc.
But is he the most dangerous? Yeah, more to himself probably than anybody else.
That's really necessary. It's one of the things that gives people self-respect. This is an interesting thing about the integration of the shadow, because recognizing yourself as the locus of evil, let's say, actually, in some sense, gives you far more respect for yourself, strangely enough, because the same respect that you might have for a wild animal or even a monster. It's like, so then maybe you learn to treat yourself differently. Like, I think this is particularly true with regards to the discipline of children. If you know that you're a monster and that will manifest itself in your life, consciously or unconsciously, and if it's unconsciously, it's not good, then you become better at disciplining children. And the reason for that is that you don't want to expose them to your dark side. And so if they behave and don't provoke you, which means they'll also behave for other people, then the monstrous part can stay in abeyance, and then that's great. But if you don't understand yourself as capable of wreaking havoc, and that can be the kind of havoc that unfolds over decades, right? Because if you're going to abuse a child, the primitive form of abuse is the physical abuse. The sophisticated form of abuse is the continual undermining of the child's courage across perhaps their entire life. And there's a terribly monstrous element to that. And
oh my goodness, is there a terrible that is terrible to do to a child? Yeah. To undermine their own courage.
Undermining of the child's courage across perhaps their entire life.
Yes, and he's very good with words, and sometimes it's difficult to understand what he's trying to say. Undermining your child's courage is a worse form of abuse than physical abuse, is what he's saying. And the reason is that if you're physically abusing the child and you strike the child, and then they have to process with that, they have that acute memory of being hit. Once, twice, 5, the occasions of that. If you are systematically undermining their courage, don't do this. You might get hurt if you do that. Don't, this is too difficult. I'll put you here. I'll do you this. I'll do you that, blah, blah, blah. This is too hard for you. That's too big for you. This, that, and the other. That is, every time that a kid says, I want to try this, or I want to do that. I want to study this. I want to train in that. I want to do this sport, not that sport. I want to have this girlfriend, not that girlfriend, or whatever. And you're undermining that the courage associated with making those decisions by saying no, because that you are going.
There's a terribly monstrous element to that, and if you're not respected,
you're not respecting your child.
Say, you will absolutely take revenge on them,
and they won't respect you back.
In some sense, that's the whole Freudian.
And they will take their revenge. He's calling it revenge. At some point in their life, they will take revenge on their parents for that, and by making, I guess, really bad life decisions. worse decisions probably than the kid that just got slapped around. That's why he's saying it's a worse form of abuse than physical abuse. Wow. That is really, I mean, he's a smart guy. It's
psychoanalytic story. It's not all of it, but it's a huge part of it. So
interesting that you say that you have to accept the fact that you're dangerous.
Accept the fact that you're dangerous, or you can become dangerous.
If you haven't done that kind of shadow work, if you haven't made friends with your anger, if you haven't...
And I think that's why we're referring to kids. Allow your kids to explore some of that as well, with the courage. So especially when your kids, have a capacity to be more brave than we are, I think. You know, my kid's only 3 and I'm starting to see it. There is a thin line between bravery and stupidity, though. Let's be honest, right? If you go into a dangerous situation not aware of the risk involved, that's a bit dumb. You know, that's not the smartest thing to do. If you go into a dangerous situation aware of what the dangers are and you choose to go into it anyway, that's courage. We should encourage that in our children. They might succeed and they might fail. But if they fail, we should even celebrate those failures, because those failures are where the most valuable lessons are learned. And win, lose, or fail, the kid has learned that I'm brave. I'm brave enough to try this. I'm brave enough to do this. So, you know, if you look at it that way, what's there to be afraid of for the parent?
Integrated it, you're actually more dangerous.
Yes, definitely.
Because then things will happen that it will come.
And if the kid succeeds at doing the dangerous thing or whatever, they realize I have a capacity to be dangerous too, you know? It's not going to make them a bully or a tyrant. Not if it's integrated into a loving, you know, family, into a loving parenting style. Nice.
Come out in a way that you don't expect.
Right, it comes out disintegrated.
Disintegrated.
So it comes out as an autonomous spirit.
Yes,
Right,
if we don't learn from a young age how to integrate these things, then it will come out at some point in a disintegrated way, out of our own control. I hope he doesn't start talking about demons and stuff, but
it will come out in a way that you don't expect.
Right, it comes out disintegrated. So it comes out as an autonomous spirit.
As an autonomous spirit, he's calling it. Very good with the words, Dr. Peterson.
Right, under no one's control, and that's like a burst of rage, let's say.
Burst of rage, yeah.
When you hear about a mother.
I used to have outbursts of rage all the time. I have the scars to prove it as well. And then when I committed myself to martial arts, these coaches, for me, they were, and they still are, the coaches are like, they're like priests in many ways. Like, it just doesn't happen anymore. Yeah, I've integrated that part of my shadow into it. I just don't. It's just not, it just doesn't happen anymore. It just stopped. It's just gone. I know it's there. I definitely know it's still there. I know where it is. I can look it in the eye and stare it down and tell it, sit down. And it does. I own it. It doesn't own me anymore. Far from it. It's just like, from being this monster now it's just like it's my dog on a leash.
Who's done something terrible to one of her children. That's the reason, is that, you know, maybe she's just been laid off. Maybe she went out and had too much to drink. Maybe she's hungover. You know, she's angry and lonesome, and she's overwhelmed by the responsibility of the children, and she has a child who's testing, and she doesn't know how to limit it. And one day, the child tests at exactly the wrong time, and it's like mayhem. And everybody goes, well, what happened? It's like, well, 7 terrible things came together at the same time and produced this outburst of disintegrated rage. And like, look the hell out when that happens, you know? So, yeah, you want to have that. You either have that or it has you. Those are the options.
Absolutely.
And you don't become safe by being castrated.
No, you just prolonging the inevitable.
Well, what you want to do is face the dragon and get the damn gold. That's what you want to do. Well, you have to be a paradoxical being even to do that. So, you know, in The Hobbit, it's Bilbo in The Hobbit, you know, he's kind of this little underdeveloped, overprotected Shire dweller, and he's called on a great adventure to go and find the dragon. And he has to become a thief in order to manage it. Well, that's pretty weird, you know. It's like, well, it's because as a good citizen, he's just not enough to conquer a dragon. He has to also become a bad citizen in some sense. He has to incorporate the part of himself that's monstrous, let's say, and develop that and hone it. And that's to say that, well, if you're harmless, you're not virtuous.
If you're harmless, you're not virtuous. Virtue is not being harmless. I like the Hobbit example he's giving, right? You have this peaceful, loving little creature, the little humanoid living in the Shire, that has to become a thief, has to go against his moral principles. You remember the scene in the movies, where even the way that, what's his name, I forgot, Elijah Wood handles the sword, you know, when he has to hold the sword for the first time, it looks so uncomfortable. Like it's so, when he's facing that troll in the cave, the first time he uses the sword, he almost doesn't use it. The sword kind of, you know, is just, but what he's talking about here is the intention. Intention is the key, right? So to defeat a monster, you have to become a monster. And what distinguishes you from the monster is the intention of that engagement between you and the monster, right? The monsters in the Lord of the Rings, they want to destroy the world and rule over everybody, etc. With this ring of power, the one ring of power. But the hobbits, they are becoming the whole fellowship altogether. Every member of the fellowship is like another side of the bad guys, so to speak. You know, you got a wizard, you got a warrior, you got an archer, you know, the hobbits and whatnot, and all of them have to engage at one point or another in the story in becoming monsters to defeat a monster in their own, you know, lane of society, I guess you could say. The hobbit becomes a thief.
You're just harmless. You're like a rabbit. A rabbit isn't virtuous. It's just can't do anything except get eaten. It's not virtuous. If you're a monster and you don't act monstrously, then you're virtuous. But you also have to be a monster. Well, you see this all the time. Harry Potter's like that too. It's like he's flawed, he's hurt, he's got evil in him. He can talk to snakes, man.
Harry Potter can talk to snakes, man. He's got evil in him. He breaks the rules all the time.
Breaks rules all the time. All the time. He's not obedient at all. But, you know, he has a good reason for breaking the rules.
But he has a good reason for doing all that.
If he couldn't break the rules,
right?
Him and his little clique of rule-breaking, you know, troublemakers, if they didn't break the rules, they wouldn't attain the highest goal. So it's very peculiar, but it's a very, very common mythological notion. You know, the hero.
So I think when it all comes down to it, what he's saying is, you know, it's having a moral compass. Having a moral compass is the key. It doesn't matter where you find that moral compass, whether you find it in the neurology, evolution, psychology, personal development, the spirituality, whatever denomination of Christianity or any other religion, whatever. I heard a saying, somebody say it, and I've kind of borrowed it, that almost all religions are valid in the sense that they offer a moral compass. They all have something in common, and that common thing is that moral compass that they offer, you know? And with the moral compass, you have that reference point that you can explore. If you're facing a demon or a monster, you know how to defeat it because you can, you know, use the monster in you to defeat the monster without becoming the monster. The only way to do that is if you have a moral compass. Right. Coming up to the hour now. Not a lot covered. Well, not a lot of articles, not a lot of content covered, but I did a lot of talking. My voice actually hurts at this point. Take a little break, take a little walk. I'm going to leave it there and see you tomorrow.